All right, here we are in our first game. We have lost the die roll, which is unfortunate. And we have to mulligan at this hand. It is unkeepable. Oh, I almost click keep. This hand's fine. Definitely put that on top. What's nice about that as the removal spells, it means that we're going to be able to potentially get a little bit more use out of these Aether Hubs if we need it, or we may be able to burn out a bigger creature than we normally would be able to. The Thraben Inspector is kind of like on the humbler side of the beatdowns, but he does the job. It's just nice having a creature on one, makes an artifact, which is really relevant for our deck, and it's nice that our opponent doesn't have a 2-drop. Alright, energy count 1. And now we are way ahead on the board. We can potentially kill a 4 toughness creature on our turn. Most likely thing to happen is that we... Yeah, that's gonna die. Alright, so let's read this. Our opponent has 6 energy currently. So we could make it a 2/2 and then a 4/4 if it uses all of its energy. Is actually kind of annoying. So we can harness lightning it if our opponent makes it a 4/4. If our opponent activates it once, and then in response we harness lightning for 2, we'll still have an energy left over. So I think it's safe to attack and see what our opponent does. Sweet. Now we can just play out more guest stuff. So in that situation, I was fine if he blocked, fine if he didn't. I could use my mana effectively either way. And currently, my opponent may not see a red removal spell coming. I don't have any red lands and I don't have any red spells. These Aether Hubs may just be for these Scrapheap Scroungers, as far as my opponent knows. Coffee is so good. I wonder if my opponent has some sort of like big combo kill where he can pump this up and then start doubling its power. Okay, that's fine. Cannot block that, to note. Yep, I take 5. The purpose of this creature may be just to generate energy and crew things. Scrappy Scroungers aren't blocking, so... So I could crack a clue to hit a land drop, but I think it's more important to just keep this Harness Lightning up. I'm starting to get nervous, though. Having no blocker with that electric static pummeler is, like, not too great. Considering I have the Incendiary Flow, I probably could have kept one Thraben Inspector back, but maybe I'm a little overconfident, but I just don't think my opponent's going to be able to kill me this turn. So... It's like even if he does go for something, I potentially have a Harness Lightning. So... Well, that's pretty cool. So he could potentially activate the Fleet Wheel Cruiser, put the counters on that, and then attack. Or he can put them all on there. And I think that's a good reason to kill that, because he could double it twice and make it a 10-10 and then a 20-20. So I think it's a good time to kill this. So he can double it twice and make it a 2-2 and then a 4-4. So I need to do a total of 4 damage to it. Fortunately, I have these Aether Hubs to actually make it so that I do have an extra energy to kill a 4 toughness creature. That is kind of sweet, though. I mean, my opponent could have dealt 20 with that one creature alone. So that is pretty cool. My opponent can block 1 Scrounger, and that is it. Oh, and I actually don't have any energy. I can't even cast my Incendiary Flow in this particular set of circumstances. I think I'm still okay. Even with another Verdurous Hulk, the most my opponent can attack me for is 13. So I think just crashing in is still a good option. I could have also cracked a clue on that turn to try to dig for another land, potentially turn my red spells on and play the Scrapheap Scrounger, but... Oh wow, so that's a big turn. Now my opponent has 3 blockers. So he's actually not dead if I don't draw a red spell, or a red mana source. So that's probably a good time to start cracking clues, since I'm not going to be able to get through on the ground anymore. So if I attack with everything, I would basically be sacrificing one of my Thraben Inspectors and Scrapheap Scroungers in order to trade my other Scrapheap Scrounger, so that doesn't seem particularly attractive. I think I'll crack a clue and just build up my board until I have enough for either a lethal attack or I draw a red source. Fortunately, because I'm still at 15 life and my opponent is at 2 life, I've got a lot of time and my opponent has to tread very carefully. So it seems like he's confident enough to at least make 1 attack. I feel like this means he has like a removal spell on a creature. Oh, he's pumping? Seems dangerous for him. He's got to have... Yeah, that's not going to be enough. He needs like another creature. He only has 3 blockers. Pretty sure my opponent's just dead on board right now. Yeah, well, let's... What could he have for 1 green mana? Actually, I guess he's not dead, but I can force some trades. Because my Inspector's only hit for 1. Well, let's see if we can just make this easy then. Gross. So let's see. So if I attack with everything, he can have Pia block, or you probably have Voltaic. Brawler, block an Inspector, Scrapheap Scrounger, block a Verdurous Hulk, and then the other Scrapheap Scrounger would trade with something with the Pia. Wait, no, he is dead. He's totally dead. Oh, I'm gonna attack. It was a ballsy attack. So the one thing that is awkward about the vehicles is you can't really play offense and defense with them. Like this Fleet Wheel Cruiser, it is not an additional blocker in this situation. So my opponent only has access to 3 blockers. So now Pia can't block. My opponent needs like 1 green, destroy target thing. Oh, if he was main decking the like 1 green, destroy target artifact or enchantment with converted mana cost 3 or less, that would be crazy. Alright, so my opponent has some pretty big creatures. I think actually the Hellions are going to go. I think this is a situation where I just want to have a few opening creatures and then just keep the path clear. I think this is the best way to do it. All right, here we are. Ooh, and this hand's great. We have perfect mana. 1-drop, double 1-drop. That is a good hand. Ooh, mama. So I want to start with Toolcraft Exemplar just because it's the hardest hitting. There's a chance that it may end up just trading with my opponent's 2-drop, but my opponent didn't have a 2-drop last game. He certainly does play 2-drops, but if it doesn't have one, or one that doesn't block, which in this case is true. Oh man, this is so good. So we want to play our Inspector. We also want to start playing out our red spells. The one thing that is a little awkward about casting this Toolcraft Exemplar first rather than an Inventor's Apprentice is we get in for an extra point of damage, but if we draw another, like a land next turn that doesn't produce red, we like can't cast 2 spells in the same turn. So the fact that we only have 1 red source and we have all red spells in our hand is a little annoying. Wow, and our opponent doesn't have a thing? Oh, that's gas. Nice. We'll bash with everything. I have to imagine our opponent is already dead this game. Sure. My 1-drop got in for 3 damage and then traded with your turn 3 play. I'll take it. And here I think I want to play Pia. Because next turn I'm likely to cast the Harness Lightning and the Inventor's Apprentice. And this puts a nice healthy amount of power toughness onto the board. Yeah, my opponent really needs a sweeper here. He's just too far behind. Wow. It's not like my opponent's going to play Chandra next turn. I should be worried about something like Kozilek's Return, but I feel like if my opponent had it, he would have cast it. Even if he casts Kozilek's Return, my Inventor's Apprentices still live. You could have Radiant Flames. Nice. And that's that. On to the next one.